Are we slaves to a mechanistic universe? The idea of free will is ingrained deeply within ourselves and our society. We strongly believe that every able human being is consciously aware of their actions and decisions. Indeed, it is the bedrock of several of our society's foundational institutions, such as that of justice. However, a large number of scientific studies and research on the matter over the last century or so has indicated more and more strongly that this whole idea of free will may in fact be just an illusion. Our entire future, and indeed the future of the entire universe, may indeed be predetermined by the initial conditions by the laws of nature. This might be hard to believe at first. I'm sure many of us have had a feeling in our lives that we're not completely in control of the decisions that we make. Think about it. Who are you as a person today? What has determined the personality and character that you possess at this very instant? You and every other human being has a personality that is merely the product of the life experiences that you have had from birth until now. Every trait you possess, every fear, every subconscious inclination, every like and dislike is what has resulted from every single encounter that you have had with your environment over all these years. So in a way, the emotions and rationality that will govern your decisions in the future have in part already been formed. There have also been neuroscientific studies that have been conducted that almost put an end to the free will debate entirely. The findings of one such study showed that when a person chooses to do something like raise his hand up in the air, part of his brain responsible for conducting the act in fact reacts before the part of his brain responsible for agency. Agency is defined as the feeling of responsibility for one's actions. In other words, you thinking that you are making a decision only after the brain has processed the action of the decision itself. In other words, your brain has already acted on raising your hand up in the air before you feel like you have to raise your hand up in the air. Confusing stuff. But the bottom line is that the idea of free will seems to be almost certainly an illusion. An incredibly persistent illusion at that. The key question is, how are we to react to this? By making it official that we do not have any control over our actions, we put the entire idea of morality and justice into jeopardy. How are we now to condemn any person if the behavior of every person has already been predetermined by the laws of physics? As with condemnation, the idea of reward will also lose its significance. If I take a bullet to save someone's life, why should I be looked at with any kind of admiration when in fact my heroic deed was already predetermined by the laws of nature? I mean, I only did it because I had no real choice in the matter, right? And this is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the consequences that such a revelation would have on society. But not all is dark. There are also some benefits that could come out of society at large accepting the viewpoint that free will is not a real thing and in fact we have no control over our actions. There might also be some benefits if the lack of free will became a mainstream viewpoint in our society's culture. Emotions like vengefulness and hatred would strongly lose their intensity if we believe that whoever has wronged us has only done so because they had no choice in the matter. Nevertheless, this whole idea is so groundbreaking that it will come to shatter many of the preconceptions that we have so strongly adapted in our lives. For one thing, it would completely undermine the idea of a God that punishes and rewards. If we are only doing what is already predetermined, then it's hard to condemn what is sinful behavior. The complications in this matter have led several social scientists and philosophers to hold the view that it's best that we do not share this information. That even if free will is indeed an illusion, it's best to refrain from spreading this idea out to people. And that we should all continue to live our lives knowing or believing that we in fact have free will and we have choices in the decisions that we make. On the other hand, there are those intellectuals of the view that truth, no matter how earth-shattering, must be held in the highest regard, despite the consequences. Therefore, the world must be made aware of this fact. So where does this lead us? Only time will tell. As of now, this whole idea is a very delicate issue that the powers that be are treading around with utmost care, as they should with good measure. Because I can only dream of what the next steps of mankind would be if determinism or the lack of free will would become the mainstream point of view in our culture and in our society. There are paradoxes galore in this matter that hurt my head to even think about. But hey, even my headache has been predetermined since the beginning of time, right?